lives as a bodhisattva, the understanding is being accumulated together with the paramis, having heard the teachings before. So there was understanding, but not enough to become enlightened until his final life. Ajahn, are you there now, I think?
Yes, sorry that I forgot. I thought it's around 2:30, but it's tomorrow. Today is 2.
Sawadika. And we were just discussing, well, Nina asked one question and Wilhelm asked one question. Wilhelm's question that he just asked was about the understanding and the paramis of the bodhisattva that had to be developed. I don't know if you would like to add anything. And Nina's question.
Yeah, I think that if we don't understand what is meant by enlightenment, it's useless to talk about who enlightened, but what is enlightenment? How long will it take, and why does it take quite a long time, such a long time? So enlightened means the understanding the truth of what appears now as it is, because it doesn't appear as it is yet. And who can penetrate the truth of it, which is so very deep? What we see is only the surface of that which arises and falls away in split seconds. And what appears is only the nimitta, image of that which is there, but not understanding the truth of it yet. Until we begin to understand what is the truth right now and what is meant by enlightened. Can this moment be enlightened?
Not yet, because understanding has to be developed for so many aeons, since we have so much ignorance.
So it's not different from this moment at all. It depends on panya, how much the understanding is of that which is now appearing. For example, what appears, it seems like so many things appears at once. That is impossible because each little rupa impinges on the eye base, and only that can be seen, not a picture, not the idea of anything in it at all. Otherwise, there must be something as that is it. It's that all the time. But actually, just the moment of conditioned reality arising and falling away in split seconds, unknown. That's why the words of the Buddha condition the moment of understand the truth of what is now until it panya develops. Understanding can penetrate the truth of it before it can be enlightened as nothing at all. Sunyata, from nothing and then something and then nothing again, all the time. And it's not just only thinking or idea, it is the truth, the absolute truth that can be discerned and develop understanding until it becomes the object of enlightenment. So one can know, even talking about Bodhisattva or the Buddha himself or Paccekabuddha or Savaka Bodhisattva, it has to be that which understands, develops. No I, no self at all. Only panya is the best of all conditioned reality.
Just before you came, we just discussed there is something, there is nothing, and there is something. You repeat it so often, but it is really a difficult subject.
That's why as long as the arising and falling away of any reality hasn't been realized yet, there must be the idea of I and someone and something all the time. That's why there are many levels of understanding. And this moment is not the direct awareness of any reality just as one at a time. So it's only the intellectual understanding which will lead to more and more understanding the truth little by little, until it is moment of enlightenment. But there must be the moment of precise understanding directly on just an object now at a time, different ones.
But where comes in the something and nothing and something?
Before seeing is the seeing, before hearing is the hearing, before thinking is the thinking. Nothing as thinking, hearing yet, until it's conditioned to just be that. Nobody can change its characteristic at all. They are anatta, no self, no one, and no thing. Just appears and disappears instantly all the time. Now, hundreds and thousands unknown, different realities, not only one. Many, many realities. But one can be only object at a time. Is this true?
Yes.
At moment of seeing, there is no sound.
If we forget, because we put them all together in daily life.
Dhamma is each moment of experiences and object, because even there are conditions for all kinds of object, but without that which they experience it, nothing can appear. And it is this moment, what appears must be known as object of a reality which experiences it. But the experiencing is not known as it is. It just take it for I all the time, be taken for I. I see, I hear, I think. But when it doesn't arise, where am I? And when it's gone, the it's gone or what? Nothing can be taken for the permanent reality or permanent idea as things and people around. How many leaves of a tree? Each has to impinge on the eye base. And in a moment it can experience only that, no shape, no form as leaf or tree or people or thing at all. Only that which can appear to the moment of seeing, no idea of things. But take that for something all the time. For example, what is that sound? See, what sound is that? The idea of something in the sound is there. When there is sound, when sound is heard, it depends on the thinking, whether it is the sound of thunder or the sound of what? Music or what? All the time, something there, even in just sound. We live in the magical world, and Chitta is the magician.
Wilhelm, did you wish to add any more or ask any more about your question about the understanding of the Bodhisattva and the Paramis?
Well, the question is, okay, he's supposed to have understanding, so he had some understanding. Did he at that moment have the understanding of anatta? Is that the point that he had already because of previous hearing the Dhamma? Would he, would he have continuous moments of understanding anatta a little bit?
I think as Ajahn was stressing, it's just like now. It's like, is there any understanding of the truth now? Because if there's understanding of the truth, then it's actually not anyone who penetrates it. It's not anyone at all. It's just the understanding of reality. So if, like whether it was in that case or this case, if there has been the hearing about what Dharma is, what reality is, and what the truth is, which are different namas and rupas, each one anatta, then this is the way that understanding develops. And it had to be the same way for the Bodhisattva as it is for us. It has to be the hearing of the truth about realities as anatta, so that the understanding can begin to develop. And it depends on conditions and many factors, how much hearing there has to be before there is the wise considering and the direct understanding about the truth.
But in the case of the Bodhisattva, he had heard Dhamma before he became Bodhisattva. In other words, before he made the vow to become a Buddha in the future.
When there is understanding, is that Savaka Bodhisattva, the beginning of being Savaka Bodhisattva? So Bodhisattva is the enlightenment of the developed Panya, right understanding. No one either.
So now, even for us, when there is the development of understanding, then we can say we are Savaka Bodhisattva. So there's some Buddha Bodhisattva and there is Savaka Bodhisattva, but in each case, it has to be the development of understanding of truth gradually from life to life, having heard the truth in the first place. So now at moments of understanding, it is Savaka Bodhisattva, such moments, beginning to develop understanding, which leads to enlightenment. What do you think, Wilhelm? Does it make sense at all?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. But now I also get a new understanding of the Tibetans or some kind of people have this Bodhisattva vow, which is of course it's a strange thing, but because they sort of have the intention to become Buddhas. But so it's in a sense with, let's say, with us in Theravada, well, it gives a continuation, an understanding of a continuation that can happen, and it gives some hope, isn't it? Because otherwise we have like we have nothing ever to attain to, because it's so difficult. It takes aeons and aeons to develop the understanding. So it gives kind of a positive light on the path ahead.
And as Nina mentioned before, if there's just wishing to have paramis or wishing to be a bodhisattva without any understanding, then it's the wrong way, because it just leads to more and more clinging. So if someone just takes a vow and would like to be a bodhisattva, but there's no understanding of realities now, no understanding of the truth, then it cannot lead to the development of understanding or the development of the path as a Savaka Bodhisattva. So it's always back to this moment and understanding of the truth now, which naturally leads to the development of understanding, the development of adhitthana, virya, and all the other paramis, and leads to the development of the path as a bodhisattva, not just by wishing and trying to be a bodhisattva or making a great resolution, but without any understanding of reality at this moment.
Yes, and Sarah reminded me, if I think, which is very natural, oh, it is such a long way, oh, so many aeons, it's still a story of myself thinking, instead of, like Ajahn always says, what about seeing now? That is the reality now. Do we understand it? Or do we confuse it with thinking about what is seen, which is already very difficult. But anyway, when I say it's difficult, it's again my story and my problem.
And it's the same if one thinks, oh, I just would like to have more paramis, or I would like to be a bodhisattva, or I'd like to be enlightened sooner. It's just...
Nina, the bodhisattva did not think about becoming a Buddha. It was only after the Dipankara Buddha who predicted, did it come to his mind that he is on the path to becoming a Buddha in the future, right?
Right, and it's the same with Sariputta, who listened to Asachi, and he had no idea he would become enlightened or was thinking about that. But it happened by conditions when he heard just a few words because of his former accumulations, his understanding of the present moment.
Why do we think about bodhisattva, not about understanding what is now appearing?
Very good.
It's the way, on the way to be bodhisattva.
household duties or renovations in our case, or family issues, and so always lost in the story with clinging and ignorance and aversion, taking it all for being something so important, and forgetting all about life and the world just being at this very moment now only, just what is seen now, what is heard now. And the dreams and the fantasies are taken for reality, but they're just the fantasies. And we think if only this problem is solved, everything will be all right. But the accumulation of clinging and ignorance is there. So there will always be another story, another problem, another issue. So
yes, well, my washing, how can I cope with it? And then there can be with the computer something wrong, and you have to solve that. So always something coming up.
There's always something again and again. Yes. And that's life.
But what is said by Sujin, we are absorbed in all the objects, but we forget about the chitta. The chitta now. We forget about that.
What kind of chitta now that's so absorbed in the problems and worrying about this and that, and clinging to self all the time. But it's so natural.
It's natural.
Dhamma.
Something like that to translate in English. So I wonder, is the term is used as designating groups or actual also like individual entities, like in when it comes to Chitta. Chitta, I know, is Vijnana. Khandha does it just mean it's part of the group of how to say, of the Chitta that are sort of subsumized under this term, or what Khandha actually means? Because in terms of the rupas, for instance, it's clear that there are many different rupas, but with Chitta, I mean, Chitta is only one, so kind of a quick question.
But Ajahn also says that each Chitta is Khandha or each Rupa is Khandha. So literally it's translated as group, but we have to consider what it really means at this moment. So as I understood.
See, there must be a reality, and when that reality cannot experience anything, no matter it is a moment which smell arises and sound and so on, whatever arises falls away. That's the meaning of Khandha. And it arises just one in samsara. So each rupa or each conditioned reality must be Khandha, one of five. Because we have to understand why they are rupa arupas and namas anamas. So why Khandha? Because Buddha taught about the upadana, the clinging, which cling to the realities by different ways. For example, we cling to rupa as my rupa or the other's rupa or whatever rupa is there. It has to arise to be a reality, and when it falls away, no more. Whatever arises falls away is akanda. And when it's rupa, that is rupa khandha, arupa khandha, because it cannot change to be that which experience at all. It just arises to be such and falls away instantly. That's why if it doesn't arise, how can it last? Even it is inside or outside, but it's that which cannot experience at all. That is rupa khandha. See? Only that which arises and falls away is khandha, because when it does not arise, where is it? Nowhere at all, because it hasn't been conditioned yet. How can it arise? And by way of clinging, one clings very much in life to the rupa. We like rupa, to be seen, to be heard, to be smelled, to be tasted, to be touched all the time, from moment to moment. Because when it's pleasant, it brings the pleasant feeling, and pleasant feeling is desirable. That's why the rupa khandha and then the vedana khandha. And since memory is there, we just want that which is remembered, not that which has been experienced yet. See, they all go together, the world like this, only conditioned moment all the time. That's why there must be the rupa khandha, vedana khandha, sanya khandha, and the 50 cetasikas are sankhara khandha. Or we can use any one as sankhara khandha. For example, panya is a sankhara khandha, sati is a sankhara khandha. No need, because usually it performs its function unknowing, known, but it's there. For example, sanya khandha now arises with each moment of citta. no one thinks about it. Just take it for something naturally. By Pakatu Panisya Pachya, see, just experience condition different moments of story and things around as something all the time. So all conditioned realities are khanda, one of the five. It shows that actually there's no one and no permanent thing at all. So wrong understanding, titi, is sankhara khanda. See, we can know what is meant by the five khandas if there is if nothing arises at all. How can there be khanda? But whatever arises is a khanda. So I think that the translation can bring the misunderstanding when we don't consider the words of the Buddha carefully. And we take it for what one means. I think like that, the other thing the other way. But in truth, we have to study the teachings very carefully of each word. For the five khandas now, no doubt about that. If nothing arises, can there be any khanda?
Each one is Rupa Khanda. Does that make more sense to you?
Yes, it clarified a lot. Thank you.
I find it so helpful that Ajahn stresses all the time, it's not the word. And then she will help us to give many examples of the reality now or khanda now instead of a theory. And that happens all the time, all these sessions. This happens that are not the words, not the story we cling to, but what appears just now with many, many other examples, very helpful.
That's why there can be more and more understanding of the parami. Without the paramis, it's impossible for panya to develop to the degree that it can let go of the idea of self, little by little.
And also the goal of it all, to understand that there is no self. That is what you stress all the time, with all these explanations. And that I find so very helpful, very good reminders.
Or Sankhata-Dhamma and Asankhata-Dhamma.
For those not familiar with the Pali term, this is referring to those dhammas which are conditioned or those which are not conditioned. In other words, nibbana. So any reality, any paramatta dhamma is anatta.
What I didn't understand is when Ajahn expressed arupa and so on, the a. What is meant by that?
By what?
Maybe I just heard wrong, but I also heard arupa.
I think she mentioned sankhara and visankhara dhamma. That means conditioned or not conditioned. And then she mentioned sankhata or asankhata, that which was conditioned or that which was not conditioned, that which is not conditioned, which is nibbana, so any reality.
Yes, but I mean, what I heard before was in the explanation of khanda, in the previous response. So I'm not sure, maybe I misheard that. But when she was, talking about different rupas.
This instant, rupa khanda, no matter it's experienced or not. and she was referring to Upadana Kanda. So we read a lot in the text about Upadana Kanda. So any rupa which has arisen now, which is the object of clinging, for example, visible object now, which is the object of attachment, is Upadana Kanda. So I think those were the main points.
Yeah, what I understood, and I'm not sure if I understood correctly, a rupa is really only a kanda if it is upadana kanda. I mean, if it is grasped.
There are two words. One is kanda and one is upadana kanda. So there are countless rupas arising and falling away all the time, which are not the object of clinging. So whenever rupa arises, it is kanda, but it's only upadana kanda at the moment that it is the object of clinging. So the rupas that make up what we call the computer screen, each rupa that has arisen at each moment is kanda. But if there's no clinging to the hardness here, then it's not upadana kanda. Even the rupas that made up the Buddha's body, each one is a moment to what is seen. Is it upadana kanda? Otherwise, it's just kanda. But so commonly it's upadana kandas because so commonly there's clinging to what is seen. Does that make sense, Wilhelm?
Yeah, but I have a basic misunderstanding probably. If a moment is not clung to, is not grasped, is that okay? Is that a moment of like nibbana? Because nibbana is without grasping, isn't it?
But what about now moments of kindness, for example, or moments of understanding? So if there's a moment of kindness or moment of understanding, there's no clinging to anything at those moments. So it's not nibbana, but at any moments of kusala, there's no clinging to any kanda.
I see, thank you.
Even at moments of dosa, moments of aversion, it's not clinging, it's opposite. So upadana just refers to moments of clinging to any kanda.
It would seem to me they're impossible or virtually impossible to understand. So without somebody helping you understand the text, you cannot understand them. They're just too deep and it's easy to go wrong. So in this group, that question would never arise. But what do you say to somebody outside of this group when they say, who should we listen to?
Well,
I have an idea. You have to check yourself, everything you hear, no matter who speaks. So it can be proven. The Buddha taught also not to just follow, but that people would develop their own understanding. So it depends on, I check the truth of it. Is it true or not?
And that is why we have discussion, to share the understanding and to see what is what's right and what is wrong.
Yes, I can understand that in the importance of this discussion. It's that I know many people who aren't part of this discussion who are listening to the wrong teaching, but
Excuse me, how do you know that it's wrong?
What they say is wrong.
How do you...
Alan, the question is how one discriminates the right teaching from the wrong teaching.
Yes.
Because we listen to many people all the time. We can't always choose.
Yes. Yes.
The thing is to know what is the right teaching,
Yes.
what is the wrong.
And it's a problem. It was a problem for me, not now so much, but when you have your discussion group, in your discussion groups, you have a lot of people who have a wrong idea, a lot of people who are quite sort of forceful with their wrong ideas, and it produces doubt. Whereas, well, of course, I listen to you and Ajahn, and that produces confidence. So, as your understanding increases, obviously that you're sharper at recognizing when somebody doesn't understand something. But yeah, it's a question of how an outside person, somebody not a member of this group, somebody who hasn't got access to Nina's writings, what you would say to them as to who they should listen to. And I think that Nina has answered it quite well. It has to be the individual's understanding gradually. They have to be very, very careful over the Buddha's words. But I just wonder, maybe we could categorize. There are certain symptoms that if somebody is talking about having more attachment, if somebody is talking about is not associating with that wrong view because of understanding. Yes, I understand that it's not, you don't avoid people. But if somebody outside of this group asked you, who should you listen to? What's your answer?
My answer would be that whatever they hear has to be considered very carefully against what they know of the Buddha's actual teaching.
Yeah.
And I think that one should not rush to accept or reject someone else or what anyone is saying, but just consider it carefully.
Yes. But I think there's a kind of warning, isn't there, that we're 2,500 years away from something which is difficult and deep. Therefore, there will be many, many misconceptions. So as you say, it's important to consider each word carefully. I think that the key point that people need to understand is you do not just listen to what somebody says about Buddhism, but it needs to be carefully checked out with the texts and with reality. It has, yeah. Okay.
Like this morning, someone was asking me about meditation, and so it's
a very useful way of really checking your understanding. What is meant by Dharma? What is meant by Citta, Cetasika, Anatta, conditions? All very important for the development. Conditions. That's something that people forget all the time, I think, because the idea of self comes in. Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing, Ellen, as Sarah was suggesting, it's not like you're gonna, if someone came and asked you, it's not like you're gonna go say read this book or that book. You're gonna ask him about his understanding, and you begin to talk about the Dhamma to him, and that's where is his introduction, and you'll find out whether he's interested or not.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. And it's important to talk about reality now straight away, because that's what it's about. So when we talk about books, or you should do this, or should you do that, you're kind of moving away from the reality now. Yes, that's a good answer. Yeah. Okay. Good suggestions there. Thank you.
What I find difficult in that situation is not to be condescending. For me, at least, I see how I get into, I'm sort of with the right teacher, and well, you were actually wrong, or so, this kind of attitude, if that seeps into
useful, or whether it's helpful to learn more or not. And that's why Ajahn always stresses, and it's true, that seeing the Buddha means understanding Dhamma at this moment. It doesn't mean how much one is reading or whose company one is in, whether it's the Buddhas or Ajahns or anyone else's, but it comes back to the understanding at this very moment.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Good answers.
May I ask how maybe I can ask Sarah and John or anyone else, how would you deal with if you were, if you are with a group of people who are doing this? I'm living here 5 minutes from the next Goenka center. I'm going today to a meditation center just for helping in the kitchen because it's my kind of association. But I'm not into what they're doing. But so I'm constantly kind of confronted with
or what to say or not to say. But it's a test of one's own, I think, level of kusala and level of understanding, how one, as you say, deals with those situations. For me, I say I don't find it a particular problem because I don't mind if other people want to express their views, whether I regard them as right or wrong. If I see an opportunity to contribute to the discussion, I will, but otherwise it may not be the right occasion to do anything. One doesn't know, there's no rule.
And I think it helps a lot not to have expectations, like in a couple of weeks' time, we're giving a talk at quite a popular yoga center here, and maybe only one or two people will appreciate the key points, but it doesn't matter at all. One is just asked to present or discuss more about, to share about Buddha's teachings, and one just shares and out of consideration for the others, and then the rest is up to different conditions and their interest, whether they would like to hear more another time or not. And if one's not invited, if people are just talking about their meditation practices and don't.
What is the goal or the point of meditation? Make it clear in the beginning. From the very beginning of the word, what is meditation? Is that the goal or the aim or the point of studying the teaching of the Buddha?
Yes, I think it's a very good approach, Wilhelm, to ask the other person to clarify their idea and to consider and to question. So rather than just say something like, oh, I'm not interested in meditation, it's much more useful to say, well, what is meditation? How does it help at this moment? Can there be meditation now? Or what is it that's understood at this moment? So just so they can consider a little more. And most people will agree that it's just a word that means something different to everyone. So what about at this moment? Why is it beneficial to sit in a particular posture? What is the purpose? What about when one's doing one's housework or shopping? What about the meditation at those times? And really, are we talking about bhavana? Because bhavana means the development of understanding. It doesn't mean following a practice or a method.
Is the word of truth, especially right understanding, to know that what is wrong and what is right. Before hearing the teachings, It's one's own consideration whether what's right and what's wrong. But according to the teaching of the truth of all realities or dhammas now, one can see how much no understanding of what Buddha taught.
So, Ajahn, you're saying that meditation exactly is understanding the present moment?
Without understanding, can there be any meditation, no matter samatha or vipassana? Different degrees of understanding, which can be stood, that they are not the same. So what is meditation? To calm the mind or to understand whatever appears now? And what is best, to do or to understand? Because we always do, every day, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, works and so on, with understanding of what appears or no understanding at all. And life exists only a moment, in a moment only. When there's no understand what's meant by bhavana, the development of what? Of tranquility or of understanding. They are different because the samatha was practiced before the time of the enlightenment of the Buddha. But the development of right understanding of what appears now will lead to more and more understanding of the truth of this moment, that is conditioned, otherwise it cannot arise at all, and it just arises and falls away in split seconds. How can there be the understanding of that which appears as it is? No more. As soon as it's there, then no more. Very short. So very short.
And Sukin, if there's never been any wise consideration of what calmness is, or what attachment is, or what metta is, what kusala is, what akusala is, how can there be any development of samatha, even samatha bhavana? So it has to begin with understanding from the very beginning, whether it's samatha bhavana or vipassana bhavana.
And Ajahn, so it would, I mean, if someone is trying to understand the Dhamma, then even samatha bhavana.
But right understanding is the understanding of the reality as it is. Without understanding what moment is calm, it's impossible to develop calmness. And when there's right understanding, it's calm. No need to try to have it. It's there already. When panya is there, it's calm as well. But with panya, not without panya. What one clings in life,
Ajahn, everything.
in a day, almost every moment. What one clings to. The five khandhas, see? So panya can see that what one clings to is only that which is hard or soft or color. See? So many things, but boil down from time to time. See? In life, see? From birth to death. So what's the use of just clinging to that? Only light or only color or only hardness and softness? And who can see that? See? Only those who develop calmness.
Ajahn,
Clinging.
Ajahn is clinging not only to the color that's being experienced now, or sound or taste, but there's also clinging to the color experience yesterday, the sound yesterday. Is this an example of clinging to Sanya Khanda?
Yes, after hearing the teachings of the Buddha, one knows that cling to all five khandas. But before that, panya is not enough to understand. Sanya is not self. No idea of no self at moment of developed tranquility. No understanding. Otherwise, it's useless to develop calmness because at moment of understanding is calm already, but with panya of the truth, much better. That's why people in the Buddha's time who had both samatha and vipassana together are less than those who didn't have samatha developed. From moment of life can be the moment of hate. See what form? From time to time, then all gone. From life to life, never to return, never to be this personality anymore, just only this life. And what there is only clinging, each moment of experiencing an object. So it's not easy to see the truth, to understand the truth, that actually there is no one and no thing. So this is the first stage of enlightenment before the end, to be arahata. No clinging anymore. But it has to be with understanding only. Otherwise, it's I all the time, who are bored with everything in life, no more. See, leave the house, the home, to be homeless, to follow the teachings as a monk, see, depending on conditions. But the parami is very important because it's the truth of each moment. Just a rise and falls way to remember only. That's why the question is, at moment of seeing, is there your arm or legs? To be true, the absolute truth has to be that which is so real, that which is not experienced arises and falls away all the time. How can there be the understanding of that as no one, no thing, and they're gone? Everything arises and falls away. So it's sanya, which marks and remember it's still there. So it's I as my, with legs and arms and eyes and everything. But actually, reality there is only a moment of seeing and that which is seen. So clear as that, which will lead to more and more letting go the idea of self. That's why as long as all dhammas in the day are not known yet, it cannot be the vipassana jhana of high degree. No thinking, nothing there. Nothing is nothing. Because at that moment it's only a moment of seeing and visible objects. No name is there, and understanding understands. Even the understanding is not named as it is moment of understanding. But the understanding, even right now, is there at moment of considering carefully and beginning to understand little by little. But actually, there's no I at moment of seeing, no I. So how can there be arms and legs?
It's all true when we think intellectually.
Intellectually is a degree of understanding. The truth cannot be changed. As it is intellectual understanding, it has to be that, never change to the end, to the moment of enlightenment. If it does not appear only that in the world, there must be the idea of I still have this and that. And also seeing, see? So be so true, truthful to the truth. There is nothing but seeing and that which is seen. Only that in the world, at that moment, no word of space, no word of trees, no word of whatever is are there now. Only that can appear to the panya, and it's meant the moment gap in between. But it appears like together. In truth, Buddha taught about many chittas in between. And chittas with cetasika, see, all are dhammas, no one there. That's why the aim of studying, the point of studying is to understand one day completely that no one, no thing at all, only different conditioned realities, uncontrollable. That is the way to be conditioned to arise and fall away instantly. And this is the absolute truth, and it is the Ariya Satya. The Four Noble Truths. About all realities, dukkha and samudaya and nirodha and mokkha. This is the way. And this is moment of starting to keep on, go on, develop. So very slowly, like the snail to the top of very high mountain. The top is unseen of letting go. Because there's nothing at all in reality, only a moment of appearing and disappearing, unknown, until it's known little by little, until the moment of enlighten the truth, penetrate the truth which is now underlined, covered by ignorance and attachment. When there's less and less ignorance and attachment, reality can appear little by little. At moment of satipatthana, direct awareness, which panya knows because panya arises with that moment. To know that it's different from intellectual understanding.
So confidence grows with understanding.
That's why from understanding just one word at a time, it brings more and more understanding of the truth of what appears in life, in a day, in a moment.
No more. He passed away.
New personality, new life. That person does not know you, I think.
What is the last thing you said?
Pardon?
I did not get what you asked.
Ajahn said that the person doesn't know you now.
No.
This life forgotten now.
Forgotten, yeah. Like
But
you
in
found
our thoughts, Lodevik is in our thoughts.
Yeah.
So we think of the dear one, no matter they're alive or not alive, but we think
Like
about them. Yes.
Like you said about your mother, that she has forgotten you now.
Yes.
Passed away, yes.
Completely. But still, the reality is the thinking now. So thinking of the one who was dear, thinking with attachment, thinking with sorrow, or thinking with wise reflection now.
Yes, yeah.
Depends.
Even thinking is not you. See, just a moment of conditioned reality. While thinking about this person, not the other, by conditions. Everything is moment of being conditioned.
That is a difficult point because
So it's just daily life. Each moment should be known. Otherwise, there is ignorance about that and wrong understanding, which always take it from something as I of different ones. As something all the time. To live alone means to live with panya, to understand that actually there is no one at all, only different realities, just at moment when it appears. Only when it appears, otherwise it's gone. What we take for permanent is gone.
And I'm just conditioned to think and remember about Alan's question and helping people, and we're inclined to say, come and listen to this person or do this or do that. But the association with the wise or the meeting of the Buddha is the moment of wise reflection and understanding, no matter the circumstance. So even if one is physically alone and thinking about Lodevik or my mother or anyone else, if there are moments of Maeve and Tadao, I don't know if any of you have anything you would like to bring up or ask about, or Tuan, or anyone who...
Sarah, it was, I suppose, a comment about, it goes back to Alan's question about a true teacher, I suppose. And there is something that I've been trying to recall, having read about the Buddha's advice about, because he was asked that question, how do we know a true teacher? And I can just remember that the essence of his answer was, a true teacher is one who does not encourage attachment to the aggregates, the 5 aggregates. And it just listening to the discussion about so much of our discussion is around being aware of the clinging nature of existence, and also considering the value of that not being encouraged, that, being so.
Yes, I think that's a very good point. Even Ajahn question to Nina about Lodevik and the comment, all forgotten now.
Exactly.
It's the opposite of what we usually hear. Usually we're encouraged to cling to those who've passed away and perform a lot of ceremonies and rituals and keep the memory alive, and to be encouraged to think we'll be together in heaven and so on. So the bitter medicine, if you like, to be reminded that actually we're completely forgotten. They have their new life in another realm, another family, and that the problem now is the clinging only. Is so helpful, so tough to hear, but so useful, so precious.
And so unusual. That's the thing.
Yes.
So unusual. So yes, I'm sorry I can't remember the actual origin of that, but
Are you thinking of the Kalama Sutta?
yes, it was definitely maybe. What is the name of that sutta, Jonathan?
Kesaputta, commonly known as the Kalama Sutta, but the correct name is something like Kesaputta Sutta.
I'll try and have a look and see if that's the one that I was recalling. Codependent.
Perhaps she means meaningless without panya. Direct experience is meaningless without panya.
But what is direct experience?
No, I think, Maeve,
the experience of a reality. I think direct experience of a reality is meaningless without understanding, because only panya can see the true nature of presently arising Dhamma.
And I think the problem, Maeve, is that, before we hear the Dhamma, we also think a lot of times that, like the idea of going out to meditate, we think that once we have direct experience, then panya comes. And we think a lot about having sati, direct experience, but never about understanding. But actually, it's all about understanding from beginning to end. So don't even think about that. Now we don't even think about having sati, right? We think about just understanding. So that's the point, I think.
Right. Yes, I couldn't get my head around it.
Ajahn, are you still there? Did you hear her question?
Yes. There is a seeing right now.
Yes.
Many moments, or only one?
One moment.
It is awareness, which is anatta, just conditioned. No one can make it arise at all. It shows the anatta-ness all the way to understand the truth. So at this moment, there are so many moments of seeing, and also many moments of thinking and talking and voice and so on. No direct awareness of anyone yet. Is that right?
Yes.
And that is meant by direct awareness. Without understanding, it cannot be direct awareness at all. No understanding. But when there is the intellectual understanding, one begins to see the difference between sati with intellectual understanding, and knows that it's not direct awareness yet. Only when it arises, no doubt about what is moment of direct awareness. Because it's there with panya. Even it's so short, but it's there. Now there is moment of hardness appearing. No thinking about that moment at all. It's gone from moment to moment without any attention. But from hearing about what should be known is that which is there in life. Now, seeing is there, hearing is there, hardness is there. So it begins to be aware of the characteristic of that which is no lay, no thing at all. Only hardness as hardness, no idea about that. But panya is so very, very weak in the beginning. All the intelligence, lopa is there after that. See, so very quickly. That's why one knows that as long as lopa is there, the reality cannot appear well. So lopa can be less and less very, very slowly, because Panya has no, where is it? It's here, it's now, it's of this object. See, that's the way to eliminate lopa until lopa with wrong understanding, titi, completely gone, never to return. By enlightenment, the truth that's it's gone for sure, never to arise again. Because of enlightenment, the kilesa nibbana, sa upadidesa nibbana, but that is the level of arahata. So Satyayana, whether this moment is direct awareness or not, and when it's there, it's there, just to be letting go, not just to want it more, want it to arise again and again. And Panya knows that is wrong. That's why there is the understanding of what's meant by Khanti Parami and Viriya Parami, not to take anything for I, understanding. And sati is there already. You don't have to look for sati, whether it's there or not, because at that moment, it's the moment of experiencing the characteristic which one has learned that it's not I at all. At that moment, there are sati cetasika and panya cetasika and other sankhara khanda as well. But Buddha didn't say phassa patthana or vedana patthana, but only sati patthana, because it's that which is aware. So it can be understood right now at any moment when there is the intellectual understanding to know whether it is that level or is that the moment of direct awareness. But it has to be with understanding. Even in the beginning, Panya is very weak, but it begins to develop to know what moment is direct awareness and what moment is not direct awareness.
Ajahn, I assume that when we use words like very short or weak, yes.
In the beginning, sati is weak and panya is also weak because of very short moment, not long enough, not often enough to get used to the characteristic of reality as the self. But this moment of understanding is developing. No one there. All cetasikas which arise together with panya is conditions for more and more understanding, very, very slowly, but it's there.
Actually, Ajahn, I was just thinking about Panya, like almost like a child that is growing, and we don't say about the child, oh, the child is very small, because that's the nature of the child at a particular time in the development. And so to expect Panya to be different to what it is to have an expectation, like to cling to an expectation, perhaps. but it just
grows at its own time by its own conditions, slowly or more quickly, but however it is. But thinking about it and fussing about it detracts from the understanding of the truth at this very moment, however little that understanding is.
And there's nothing that can be done anyway.
Exactly. It's all by conditions.
Yeah. Yes.
And can anyone understand fussing as not self?
Just another Dharma.
Little by little.
Yes.
Only by conditions.
Yeah.
And Panya, when it gets stronger, it's quite a release or relief. Don't worry, no fussing at all. Because it has to be as it has to be by conditions.
But Ajahn, little by little also means it has to grow. So it's fair to conclude that it has to grow means it's not strong. So it's not like knowing that it's weak or strong is necessarily with expectation. It's just what it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Or Anakapa, see, and Vichikicha, because the higher understanding is not known at that moment yet. That's why only Panya can understand whatever is there, of what level as it is.
I think it's about time. So thank you very much, Ajahn, and
yes, Ajahn.
Everyone. Anumodana to everyone.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Ajahn,
Ajahn.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ
สวัสดี